Does anyone else feel like this is maybe a bull trap? What's going on, guys? It's Ricky with TechBud Solutions, and I quickly wanted to first off congratulate those that went long, right? NASDAQ market has been showing signs of consolidation. We talked about this last week. It was showing signs of a support. It didn't make sense to short the market anymore as it was uncertain if we're going to make new lows or if the market was actually going to begin to recover. The part that is kind of frustrating is most of this gap up happened overnight. So if you're a day trader, if you don't carry positions overnight like myself, again, there hasn't really been much action since the market has opened. Now, don't get me wrong, direction is still bullish. We're still above the EMA and the moving average on the 5-minute time frame. Don't get that twisted, right? Markets are bullish. It doesn't make sense to short right now because the overall direction and sentiment is still bullish. But at the rate that it's progressing, I don't really feel like it makes sense to go long since most of this, gap up happened overnight. And that's kind of like the pickle that I feel like I'm in right now where, okay, well, do I want to go long now? And how much money could I potentially make versus now the exposure for potential downside is much greater. I'm not too sure if that's the thought that's just going through my head or maybe you guys as well. And the market, again, if you look at the 1 hour time frame, we're showing a lot of signs of consolidation. I want to see that, okay, is all of a sudden the market going to begin to recover? Is all of a sudden now we no longer are concerned about the trade war and tariffs? Supposedly, we're supposed to get an update on what's going to happen on April 2nd. Is Trump actually going to follow through with those tariffs? Supposedly now there's a new plan in place. So again, it's going to be very interesting to see how the markets continue to trade. And I wanted to ask you guys, do you think that markets are just going to recover now back to previous highs? So for NASDAQ QQQ, again, that is from current highs of around $4.90 per share to go back to $540. Or is this a potential fake out? And again, this is the idea of that I'm presenting. It's not that it has to happen. I want to be cautious that we rallied, we become overbought, we show signs of resistance, and then we form a lower high, we get rejected, and it goes back down to 470 per share. I think that's the last thing that I want is for someone to go in super aggressive right now, thinking that markets have to recover, and then the direction quickly turns against you. Let me make this very clear. You should never be afraid to buy the dip in any company that you see as a good long-term investment. Just be mindful of your position size. I think that's all that matters, because if you get in at a good price and you have no intention of selling soon, yeah, we might pull on back, but eventually markets do tend to recover. So again, as long as you can tolerate the time that it might take for the markets to recover, then that's great. Just be careful of not buying too much, that if they do begin to pull on back, that if you trade on margin, you can get margin called. That if you buy too much and you don't have any more, then you can't buy at lower levels. Again, just be mindful of it, right? I really liked a comment that I saw in my video yesterday where I talked about this concept, and they said, just like margin, when it comes down to using leverage, you want to use it when it comes down to a ship tailwind, not headwind. So again, it kind of just puts things into perspective of I would rather use that margin or leverage when direction is proven to be in my favor, not just in the very beginning stages that can end up putting me in a worse position later down the road. So again, it's very early. Markets do look bullish, but the part that I'm not liking is the lack of progression that we are getting from when the market opened. Now, again, things are bullish. Let's get that straightened out. But it's just at the rate that it's increasing, it's incredibly slow. And again, we all know that it just takes 1 or 2 solid red candles to go back exactly to where the market opened at. And that's the last thing that I want. To jump into the market because it looks bullish and then it quickly turns against us, as yes, the past few weeks the market has been incredibly bearish. This video is just to remind you to stay level-headed, to stay light on your position, and to never be afraid to take profits if you see the direction ultimately changing against you, if you see that to be fit. So I'm very excited to follow up. Again, I want to share your 2 cents, my 2 cents with you. And NASDAQ, Tesla, and MSTR are the 3 stocks that I'm paying attention to as markets become a little bit on the overbought side based off of the 1 minute and the 5 minute time frame to see if a potential reversal begins to present itself, especially MSTR. Bitcoin looks really nice as it's approaching $90,000 per coin, which again was a previous support range, which can act as a new resistance range. If we do see Bitcoin beginning to retrace, then again, that would be an incredible setup for MSTR on the 30-minute time frame. You could see what it would have of potential pullback potential, right? Because it's gapped up so much, let this thing ride up as much as it needs to. Once it peaks and once it begins to fall over, if it does, then there's huge pullback potential, and that's where money can be made. Remember, you don't have to trade every day. You want to trade when it makes sense and when your criteria is met. Very excited to follow up. I appreciate your time. Hope that earned a thumbs up. And again, if you ever want to watch me trade live, second link in the description down below. Like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take care, team.